America, how we doing today? We are in New Mexico. Yes, we're in northeast New Mexico. We're going to take a little road trip today. We're going to run from Maxwell, which is where we're close to right here. We're at the Maxwell National Wildlife Refuge. And we're going to run over to Red River. It's a beautiful scenic ride. And along the way, we're going to see if we can't learn a few things from history. There's a couple historic towns along the way, and we'll stop and check them all out. What we're doing right here is I'm just coming through to show you where I parked last night, or where I camped last night. It's right off here to the left by that picnic table. And it's a Maxwell National Wildlife Refuge, and it's just a lake for waterfowl and stuff like that to come flying by and take a break and feed and whatever. A lot of pronghorn antelopes and a few other deer and things like that around this area. There's a camper van under the trees, and as you can see, it's not a huge lake. It's just big enough for waterfowl to come in and take it easy. And you can't quite see the other camper there. It's just off the screen. But anyway, just off to the left there, that's where I camped for the night. Just all this little grass area out here, you can pull out just about anywhere and make your camp. And this is kind of the main area you're supposed to camp out. And I don't know how many people you could squeeze in here, but a few. So anyway, we're going to leave here and we're going to run down into town. I'm going to show you the town of Maxwell and several other towns. There's Maxwell, there's Springer, there's Cimarron. There's a lot of towns in this area, and there's history to be learned from the names of the towns, okay? And I didn't know any of this stuff until I got to driving through this video. And after I've filmed a lot of this, I was learning as I went. So as you can tell, I'm not talking while I'm driving. I'm just overdubbing this and talking while I'm editing here. So anyway, let's make sure we stop at the stoplight or stop sign. All the way to a complete stop. Almost. There's nobody out here. So anyway, we're gonna run down this gravel road down here, and where we're close to, just to get you started here, we're close to one of the major stops, one of the bigger stops on the Santa Fe Trail. Okay, if you go back into history, there was the Santa Fe Trail run from Missouri down into Santa Fe, New Mexico, and one of the people that started this area is Maxwell, a guy named Maxwell. And this is the town of Maxwell. And there's the post office right there. See a Bigfoot? Anyway, that's the post office there. And then right beside it, looks like somebody's trying to start a museum or an antique store or something like that. It was closed, but there was some old looking stuff in the window. And there's not much to this town. You're seeing most of it right here. It's not any industry that I could tell. There's not any businesses for the moment. Not even a gas station that I could find. It's just some people and houses, and that's it, you know. So we're going to run through that and get on the highway here in just a second. All right, folks, we are out on the open highway here. This is Highway 58 on New Mexico. We're heading west, and up ahead of us here is the town of Cimarron. And just past that, that mountain range you're looking at is the southern part of the Rocky Mountains, and it's called the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Sangre is blood, and then of Christ. Blood of Christ Mountains. And that was, the name came from the Spanish back when they were, this was Spanish territory. Anyway, Cimarron, the thing about Cimarron, this town up here is pretty pivotal in the old West history and everything. And I'd really never I'd heard of the name Cimarron, but I thought it was like, the name of a John Wayne movie. I didn't realize it was a town out here. I'd never even heard of this town before. Anyway, I got to looking into it, and Cimarron was where the old Santa Fe Trail. We'd leave Missouri and we'd come out here into Mexico. This was Mexico at the time, okay, not New Mexico. It was Mexico, and the Santa Fe Trail linked the American states and everything with old Mexico, and it was a trading trail. It was kind of like the interstate of its day. and they did a lot of trading back and forth from America to Mexico. Okay, it was the Santa Fe Trail. Well, the Santa Fe Trail leaves and goes across, from Kansas City over down through Dodge City and over into southwest or southeastern Colorado to La Junta, Colorado, and then it cuts south to Trinidad, and then from Trinidad over the pass to Raton, New Mexico, and the Raton Pass. And it's pretty rocky and difficult to manage and everything. So later on, after several years of doing it that way, they realized they could cut off in southeast Kansas or southwest Kansas and come right down into New Mexico, and they would join up right here in this town of Cimarron. So that's one of the reasons I'm stopping here in Cimarron to talk about that, is because this was one of the major hubs on the Santa Fe Trail, and there's a lot of history here that I never even heard of. After I learned a lot of this stuff, the only name in all of these people that I'm going to talk about today was Kit Carson. He was the only one, and he really wasn't a big deal about here. He just was in the area, and was friends with this Maxwell guy. So this town of Maxwell was named after, what was his name? Lucien Maxwell. Now, Lucien Maxwell was the son-in-law of a guy named Charles Beaubien. Okay, so Beaubien and there's the other guy named Miranda. Beaubien and Miranda were Mexican, and they talked the Mexican government into giving this huge land grant called the Beaubien, I don't know if I'm saying that, Beaubien. Anyway, Beaubien-Miranda land grant is 1841. Now, 1841, you got to remember, that's right after Texas became its own state, or not its own state. It was before Texas became a state, when Texas was still its own independent, nation, after the Alamo and Texas independence from Mexico. So this was right, just right after that, a few years after this. So anyway, the government gave Beaubien this huge land grant, and they're supposed to do something with it in 2 or 3 or 5 years or something like that. And he didn't get anything done with it. So they changed the name of it. He basically passed it down to his son-in-law, Lucien Maxwell. And Lucien Maxwell, it became the Maxwell land grant, and it was the biggest land grant in, well, what is United States now? It was Mexico back then, but what is United States now? It was the biggest land grant in U.S. history. Okay, now I'm pulling in here, and this is where I learned all this stuff. There's all these information boards right here. I'm going to go read all these. When I get back, I'll tell you more and more and more about them. All right, so I'm going to back out. I'm going to drive around. This is Cimarron, and what you're looking across the highway over there, that's what they call the new town. Well, there's an old town and a new town. We're going to go up here to the stop sign. We're going to turn left, and we're going to go into Old Town. Now, Old Town was there back during the time frame I'm talking about. Okay, back in the 1840s, 1860s, right along in through there. And the railroad finally came into Cimarron in 1880. And right where the highway is, off to the right over here, there's the Highway 58, or actually 64 at this point. That highway right there, that's about where the railroad came into town. And because there's a little river here, they decided to just, let's build a new town right here by the railroad track. So, the railroad had that kind of pull. We're going to put the railroad right here, and you're going to have to move your town over to us. So just up ahead is the Cimarron River, and you blink and you miss it. It's just like a little creek in this area. But on the other side of the river is the Old Town, and there's some really old architecture, and there's an old hotel. It used to be a bar, saloon, and a hotel, and there's all kinds of history, and lots of people died in that hotel. You can do some research on that and find out more about it. But there's an old Catholic mission church up here. There's a jail. We're going to drive around this jail and check it all out. Off to the right, see that big square building? That's the Aztec Mill. Okay, and a grain mill, flour mill, and it was owned by Maxwell, of course. He was the big dog. There on the left there, that's the hotel bar slash. Lots of people died in that building right there. Lots of gunfights and lots of shootouts. So the Mexican government gave him this huge land grant, and he didn't do anything with it. Beaubien didn't do anything with it. Well, his son-in-law, Bibian lost his only son, so he decided to pass this over to his son-in-law, Lucien Maxwell. Lucien Maxwell ended up becoming real good friends with Kit Carson, and that's the only one that I recognized was Kit Carson. So anyway, you got to remember, this was a land grant from Mexico. Well, a few years later, I don't remember what year it was, but when this area became part of America, it wasn't a state yet, it was the New Mexico Territory, but it was after the Mexican-American War, okay? And after the Mexican-American War, this land was claimed, owned, whatever, by the U.S. government, not the Mexican government. So a lot of the people in the area, they started doing their U.S. grants, and the Maxwell and the people that owned land in this, in this land grant and everything that were established by that time, they go, wait a minute, we own this. And the new people say, no, your old laws are from Mexico. They don't count anymore. The new laws are from America, and they count. So there was a big dispute who actually owned the land, and it turned into what was the name of it? It's some kind of county war, Colfax County War, I think, or something like that. I'll put it on the screen. But that's a concrete teepee right over there. So, so we're turning in here, and I didn't even know this was here. Like I said, I'm just driving around, and I saw this hood right there at the tree. There's a hood that says "Old Jail." And I'm like, what's that? So I pulled in here and got out and looked around, and sure enough, it's the old jail. So and can you imagine, I don't see any smokestacks, chimneys or anything like that. Can you imagine how cold that'd be in the winter in jail? Freeze your butt off in there. Be awful hot during the summer too, I suppose. So let's get out and walk around and look at this. But in the meantime, I'm going to sit there and tell you more and more about these people. So I walk up and I show you the thing, and I don't get a very good shot of this, the paper, the reading material here. But if you want to pause it and try to focus in on that, you can. But sorry about it. Couldn't see that very well through the glass and everything, so couldn't get it focused. So, but yeah, this is just in town here. It's almost like it's in somebody's backyard. I get out and walk around places like this, and I kind of wonder, am I allowed to be walking around here? Here's a little information about the jail, 1872, and let me go stick the camera in the window here through the door. But like I said, can you imagine that, being in jail in the middle of summer or in the middle of winter, when it's hot or cold? Jails are pretty tough back in the day, weren't they? Yep. Don't think they had that light bulb back in the day either. That's that hat on. So walk around here and look at this other window real quick. I'm going to tell you more and more about the people that I found out about as we drive down the highway. But for the moment, whoop, they can't see anything here. They got it blocked off. So, I'm doing real good filmography. You got my finger in the lens. Oh, high class. This is high class videography here, videos here, ain't it? Anyway, all right. So we're gonna run back down toward town. I'm gonna show you this is the old town. This is where we're at, is the old town. And I'm gonna drive around the, what was it called? The St. Mary's Hotel, I believe. And we're gonna drive around the St. Mary's Hotel. It used to be called something else. I'll get to that later as I tell you more about the people. The original, it was something saloon, and then they renamed it the St. Mary's Hotel. But drive up here and look at the church. And the Catholic church, it was I'm trying to remember what year. 1864 was when it was built. So it's not like a Spanish mission. It's just a small Catholic church for the area. It's up here on the right. There it is. And I actually got out and walked around and looked around. The doors were locked. You can't see through the windows or nothing like that. So this is pretty much all you get right here. And they still have services here too. They still have services here. See the camera switch right there? I actually turned the camera off and came back. That's when I got out and walked around and looked at the place. Anyway, so we're going to head back toward the road over here and head back over to what they call Newtown. And the Newtown was built when the railroad came in the 1880s, I think it was. So in the 1880s, the railroad finally got down here on the way to Santa Fe, and they started building the town around it. And you'd think, well, what's so special about Maxwell? Or, I mean, Cimarron? Well, it's where the Santa Fe Trail, depending on which route you took, the Colorado route or the just straight through New Mexico route, it's where it joined back up, and it was kind of one of the major hubs along the way to reprovision and I'm sure they had blacksmith and all that kind of stuff. And oh, by the way, this hotel is still open too. It's still, you can still stay in it and everything, I believe. So, but anyway, drive around. I just went around the back of it just to see, and as you can see, right straight ahead, that house and building right there, that's the old Maxwell Ranch. Okay, that's the Maxwell Ranch right there, right behind. It was kind of the main spot right in the middle of town. And if you went straight down that road right there, there was a cemetery down there, but you had to walk across private property to get to it, and I didn't want to do that. So, but off to the left there, that big white building, that's the St. James Hotel. So anyway, lots of people died in there. We're going to talk about one of the guys did some of the shooting. All right, the St. James Hotel was originally called Lambert's Saloon, and it was owned and operated by a guy named Henry Lambert. And Henry Lambert was born in France, and he ran away from home when he was 12 and went to chef school somewhere over at Le Havre, France. Anyway, when he was 23, he enlisted as a cook for the French Navy. And as soon as he got to America, he jumped ship and went on to be a steward in the Union Navy. He deserted yet again and sailed to South America. After returning to the U.S., Lambert eventually landed in Washington, D.C., where he changed his name to Henry with a Y. Yeah, more Americanized, I guess. And he was hired as a cook for General Warren and General Grant for the U.S. Army, and later on became the chef for President Lincoln. So I mean, you think about back in the day with with John Wilkes Booth and Lincoln, and no security, and they didn't have the Secret Service and all that, and the cook for President Lincoln was a two-time deserter. I mean, it's laughable. But anyway, that's Henry Lambert. He owned the saloon and everything, and later turned it into the St. James Hotel. We're going to turn into town here. This is where the highway, right where I'm at right now, is about where the railroad came into town. And look at that, a bookmobile. I haven't seen a bookmobile in years. That's it. Okay. Anyway, so anyway, the railroad goes left and right across where I'm at right now, and 1 block away here is the old storefronts of the new town, I guess you'd call it. And what is that? A thrift store in the corner. Anyway, it's only 1 block long here. It's got all these older buildings and everything. One of them's a coffee shop now. Everybody wants to pay $12 for a coffee. I don't understand that, but anyway, the city police, the police department, everything was just on the left there in the city park. And what is that up on the top there? Buffalo Nickel. I can't read it, Fosted. I can't read it. But yeah, Buffalo Nickel, probably some kind of a retail store. Would imagine, I don't know what that would be on the right, maybe like a city hall or something, I don't know. But anyway, the post office now is over behind that tree on the left with the green roof. That's the post office. So we're going to turn and go back over to the highway. So, all right, now once we get on the highway, I'm going to start telling you about all these different people and how they kind of, you know, some of the things that kind of, how do you call it? It's just, I found it interesting, some of the things you learn in a little small dinky town like this, because it's small today, but back in its day it was considered a major hub, you know. So anyway, let's get to rolling here and I'll tell you about some more of these people. All right, so something I want to go back on, reiterate on there just a little bit, is the timing of all this. Now, you got to remember, this used to be a Mexican territory, the country of Mexico, okay? And Santa Anna came up to Texas and fought at the Alamo and got defeated in San Jacinto and everything in 1836, okay? Well, in 1836, Texas declared independence from Mexico and lined out what they said was theirs, and they said that this property, or their territory, went up into the New Mexico area. All right, so here it is a few years later in 41, 5 years later in 41, the Mexican government gives this land grant to this Bobian, okay, Bobian and Miranda. Well, from the Texas point of view, that's Texas soil. And then later on in, what was it, 46, the United States annexes Texas into the 28th state. They say that's our property, okay? And so there's competing interests here. One group says, you know, the Mexican group says that this land is ours and we give this land grant. And the American, or the Texas side, and later the American side of it says, well, you can't give that land away on a land grant because it's not yours to give away. You lost it in the Texas War for Independence. So anyway, that's where all this trouble starts out, which ends up being a bunch of people got shot and killed, and then eventually there was this preacher. Let me tell you about this preacher. Let me find him here. Franklin Tolby. Franklin Tolby was a Methodist preacher, and he was coming up this canyon we're fixing to drive through here. He had went over through the canyon over to the town of Elizabethtown, which was a gold mining town, or some kind of a mining town, I think gold. And on his way back, or previously, he had been outspoken about how the land grants and everything, how he was taking the side of, I assume, the New Mexico, or the Texas and American side. He was taking that side, and this other guy, what was his name? Clay Allison, he thought elsewise, you know. So anyway, apparently they don't know for sure, but they think this Clay Allison killed this Franklin Toljoy as he was coming back from ministry services over in Elizabethtown, so at one of the mining towns. So that sparked off, you know, people are pissed off about all this stuff, and that sparked what they call the Colfax War. This is Colfax County here. And another thing, all these things kept building up. One of the new law in the territory was over in Taos, and it was the U.S. This is after. This was later, a few years later, and in the American government has taken over out here. They sent a soldier out here, an army out here to tame this all down and everything, and it just didn't work. The army came in and didn't. Well, there's not too much going on here. You know, everything's pretty tame. So they took off and went on out to California. And after they left, this all kind of erupted here, called this Colfax War. But one of the things is, whenever they had to go to court, you know, they couldn't go to court here in town. They had to drive. They combined whatever county that Taos is in They took that county and Colfax County, which is where Cimarron is, and they can join them to where if you had to go to court, you had to go to Taos, which is 50 miles. I know it doesn't sound like it's only an hour drive today, but 50 miles back in, that was several days trip, you know, over and back. So that ticked off everybody. It was ongoing. There was a lot of animosity back and forth as to who owned what land, and you know, that's my land, get off of it. Well, you can't, I was here first. Well, yours doesn't hold court anymore, you know. So anyway, there was all kinds of fighting and back and forth about it. And this, anyway, Franklin Tolljoy, he was this minister. He got killed right up in this canyon, somewhere along in this canyon up here. And they think that this guy named Clay Allison did it. Well, Clay Allison, we'll go back to the St. James Hotel. He did a lot of shooting and killing in that hotel. He had several gunfights and whatnot, either in the hotel or just outside the hotel. So yeah, it was it was a rough and tumble town, you know. And it goes to show you when there's, you know, people fight over land ownership, you know, and when they feel they've been wronged, you know. One group says they own this land, and one other group says no, I own this land. And I mean, it goes with what we're talking about here, but also goes with the American Indians and the U.S. U.S. Army and U.S. government, you know, and the settlers that came west. There's, you know, a lot of hatred and a lot of animosity between the two, you know. So it just, you know, it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if it's Germany and, you know, the Jews in World War II or whatever. It's just, it's all people fight. they don't like it when they feel like they've been wronged. So anyway, on enough of that. Let me find somebody else to talk about. Okay, the U.S. Army, when they came out west, was a guy named Stephen Kearny. He was what was he? Major general. He was a major general. He brought a fairly large army, 1,500 men and 15,000 cattle. You know, quite an operation. He came out, but when he came out, there wasn't a whole lot of fighting going on at the time, so he just continued on out to California. And let's see here. Let's see, Frank Springer. Let's talk about Frank Springer for a second. And he was a lawyer. Frank Springer was a lawyer. So when all this, you know, was going to court, he was a lawyer, and he, you know, got a lot of this stuff stirred up. You know how lawyers can be. So it's just, oh my. So anyway, Frank Springer, he got a town named after him. It's back over on by the interstate, and Springer, New Mexico. And there's a guy named John Dawson. John Dawson, he was a cattleman, and this is later in the years. It was like, you know, 20, 30 years later. But in the 80s, 1880s, right along in there, 1870s, he drove the longest cattle drive on record. And he drove him from Arkansas to California. He had went out to California with his family to hunt for gold, and after that kind of turned bust, he turned around and came back to Arkansas, grabbed his family and a whole bunch of cattle, and run a cattle drive all the way up to California. He was also known for running cattle with Charles Goodnight and Oliver Loving, the Goodnight-Loving Trail. You recognize those guys from the movie series Lonesome Dove. So it's amazing how all this stuff intermixes. You know, it's not just this guy was here and he was an island to himself. Everybody intermixed, and everybody just like today. But it's just when you go back in history, you see all these people and how, you know, here's this guy, he's a lawyer, he was another, his guy was a cattleman, this guy here was a preacher, this guy here was a gunslinger, this guy was a saloon keeper. It's really neat to learn. As you read it, you're reading it going, oh, that ties in with this guy over here. So, you know, let me see who else we got. You got Kit Carson. Kit Carson, he was a frontiersman, and I didn't really know a lot about Kit Carson. I've heard the name. It's just a name from the Old West, you know, kind of like Daniel Boone or something, you know. And I didn't really know a lot about him until I started reading about him because of this video. He's quite an interesting fella, and he got his fame and fortune and everything from dime novels. He went out and was with the military and doing a lot of fighting with the Indian wars and stuff like that. And when he came back, he became an Indian agent out in the West. And if you think about it, all this whole time, all this is going on, they're also fighting the natives, the local Indians, you know. And some of the Jicarilla Apache and the Utes in this area. And so yeah, they fight all these people, you know. All this was going on at the same time, you know. Well, they finally got all the Indians, you know, how subdued and on a reservation, as they would say. And Kit Carson was an agent, an Indian agent, you know, and he was like in charge of the reservation. And so yeah, because of all of his exploits, the writers of the time picked up on it and wrote a bunch of, like, you know, you heard of the dime novels, and basically it was like the rag magazine or newspapers at the grocery store. You know, anyway, he got his fame from that, and it said that he was real puzzled by that. Why would anybody think that he was some kind of hero or whatever? He didn't think he'd done anything that was all that special, and he was, you know, downplayed it, I guess. So anyway, I learned about Kit Carson. Now that was pretty neat. All right, who else we got here? Marion Russell. Marion Russell was a lady, and you're going to read on through this if you want. You pause the video and read about her, but the main thing was she had a diary which she turned into a book, and in that it was called The Land of Enchantment. Well, that's what's on the license plate on New Mexico. That's their state motto, or state motto, or state whatever you call it. But yeah, anyway, that's on their license plate, The Land of Enchantment, and that's where that comes from, is this Marion Russell. There's a fella called George McJunkin. George McJunkin, he was a former slave and free man, and he was out here running cattle, working around ranches and stuff, and he was riding around this canyon, not this canyon where we're at now, but on a different canyon, and he runs across, there was a big rainstorm came down through there, you know, and flooded the area and washed out an embankment. And he sees this big bone, and he gets to looking at it and says, man, that's too big of a bone to be like from an American bison, you know, buffalo. It's way too big. And so he goes into town, tells everybody about it, and nobody cares, you know, nobody says anything. But years later, some archaeologists went out in that same area. They had heard about this. They went out there and looked, and it's because of those bones. Beside these bones, there was a spear point, or an arrow point. I think it was a spear point. And because of that spear point, they looked at it and says, man, that looks just like the spear points that were over in Asia. And that's where they figured out the idea that the American Indian and all the people down in Central and South America all came across from Asia, across the Bering Strait, when it was frozen over. You know, the frozen Bering Strait. During the Ice Age, the ocean levels were lower, and then right between Russia and Alaska, that all froze, and they could travel across there. So it's just weird that a former slave happened to come across some bones, and those led to the figuring out where human life came from in the Americas. It's just, you know, it's neat to learn this stuff. Let's see, who else we got? Okay, the Santiago Largo, he was the Indian chief of the Jicarilla Apache in the late 19th century, and he was instrumental in the tribe acquiring land from the U.S. government in 1887 to 1908, the last Native American reservation to be granted. So that's his claim to fame. And then it goes on and talks about his people and how they came across the land bridge from Siberia, and talks about, let's see here, the Jicarilla Apache. Jicarilla means little basket in Spanish. Now, why they would name him Little Basket Apache, I have no idea, but Jicarilla Apache. And so let's see who else we got here. Oh, we got this guy, oh, what is his name? Gaspar Villagarara. Anyway, wait a minute. L in Spanish, 2 L's is a Y, so it's Viagra. That's Casper Viagra. He's the guy that invented Viagra. There you go. No, I'm just kidding, folks. No, this is, I haven't read up on him or anything, but he's the Spanish conquistador or something like that came over and settled this area. And you want to pause the video and read more about him. But anyway, that's about all. That's all the people I have to talk about the Cimarron and the Cimarron area and the Maxwell land grant and all that. I thought that was a very interesting story and everything. Where we're coming up to now is a little bitty village called Ute Park, like the Ute Indians. It's Ute Park, and we're going to get just on the other side of town here, and you're going to start seeing the forest turn to there was a forest fire back in 2018. I looked it up, and it's 2018, and it burnt 36,000 acres up here mainly on the left or south side of the road. But it's starting to recover. There's getting some more and more green up in here. You'll see it here in a little bit. This is still all nice and green and pretty here, but here in a little bit, you're going to notice that I think that's coming up right here. These trees, you can start seeing these dead trees. No, not yet. That's not them. But yeah, anyway, there's a huge fire came through here back in 2018, and it's still, they don't know what caused it. Still under investigation, so to say. So, but it's just this canyon, as we get up, the farther you go into it, the prettier it gets, and it's just really, really nice scenery. I thought maybe y'all would just like to sit here and watch the scenery go by and look at the beautiful mountains. And you know, for people that live in other parts of the country, like, I don't know, Florida or you know, New Jersey or something, they don't get to see this kind of scenery very often, or at all, really. You know, now New Jersey has its own beauty. I've been up in New Jersey during the fall when it is, you know, the fall colors and everything, and everybody jokes around about New Jersey, but the countryside in New Jersey is actually quite nice. It's just the big cities kind of stink. But yeah, it's just, you know, there are people that live in Illinois and never get to see this kind of, you know, because Illinois is very flat. Indiana is pretty flat. You know, Ohio for the most part, and you don't get to see this kind of, you know, topography, I guess you'd call it. So, little wide spots in there. You know, there's all kinds of places I saw we pull over and go camping. You know, a place I could pull over and set camp for a night or two. And they've got it all shut off to where they don't want you camping there anymore. Now, I don't know why that is, but it could be because of that fire. I don't know. But you'll see all kinds of little roads that just like loop around, like here on the left, right there. You know, places like that you can pull in and park. So I'm trying to think of the elevation around here. I'm guessing it's somewhere around 30. I mean, I saw that sign 35. We're probably around 6,000 or better, 6,500 feet maybe, something like that. And we're getting ready to go up over a pass here in a little while. It's a few more miles down the road, of course, but we're going over this pass, and it's going to be the pass going over into Eagle's Nest. And Eagle's Nest is really, really pretty valley. It's just a beautiful, beautiful valley. And the town is surprisingly small. The town is very, very small, in fact. Like one gas station, no grocery stores. The gas station is the grocery store kind of thing. They've got a state park there. They got a lake, Eagle's Nest Lake, and they got a state park here beside it. We're going to drive up into that. That's for later on, you know, later in the video here. But we're going to drive all up through here and just really, you know, just enjoy the scenery. We're getting closer and closer up to this place. It'll be on the right. I'm going to pull over and check it all out. But it's the Palisades. And Palisades Sill, I think, or something like that. Anyway, it's a rock formation. You can kind of start to see it on the right up there. And it's just like boulders, or not boulders, they're square kind of square, blocky looking rocks, and they're stacked on top of each other, and it's just, you know, seems to me it'd be a really, really interesting place for somebody that likes to go, you know, rock climbing, you know, rappelling, that type of stuff. And then, of course, the river, which is on the left side of me right now, that's the Cimarron River. I get out, when we get up here, the Cimarron River will be on the right side of me, and I'll pull over, and we'll walk around down there by the water. It's just, it's a beautiful mountain stream, it really is. It's not a big rushing river or nothing like that, just, you know, probably just big enough to have some fish in it, you know. Just here we're starting to get into some of that rock formation on the right. And we'll come into the state park first. I think you'll see signs saying state park first before we actually get up here to it. Yeah, here we are, right on the right. So, man, well, I pull in, and this old man, I don't know what he was doing. He got his camera out and he's taking pictures. There was he put little figurines on top of this sign and then took pictures of them. I don't know what he was doing. He's got them in his hand right there. So anyway, spectacular cliffs are cut by the Cimarron River through the indigenous rock known as a sill, opposed to the, I missed it. I have to pack up. You want to read the rest of it, you got to pause it, back up and pause it. But yeah, I'll walk down here, and there's a fellow fishing when I get down here on the right. Wouldn't that be, I mean, I'm not into rock climbing and all that, but if you were into rock climbing or whatever, I bet that'd be a top-notch place to go. Isn't that a pretty river? You got a few logs crossing it here, but it's pretty clean, pretty clear water. And there's the guy just right there. You can see him fishing just through the tree, the bushes there. And I was trying to step out onto them rocks, and I decided better of it. There's some rocks out there I was going to step on, and you know how it is. You go step on a rock and it shifts, then you fall, and into the water you go. But look at them rocks. It was real breezy. It was really, really breezy that day coming through here. And I'm surprised I don't have more wind noise on the camera than I do. But I just walked around, walked up river, just, you know, 100 feet is all. Come down here, and there's some logs kind of blocking the river, so it's backed up a little bit, and it's actually kind of still right in this area. It seems to me if I was him, I'd be fishing here, not down there in that running water. But I don't know nothing about trout fishing, so don't listen to me. Like I said, it was real breezy that day. The wind was really coming down that canyon. Let's head back up to the dam. Alright, this guy here, looks like he's getting ready to go fishing too, or just got done, one of the two. Trying to find a spot here where, there it is, right about right here. I can jump that little sharp curb. Maybe not tear up my tires. Little sharp curbs like that, you'd be surprised what they can do to a sidewall on a tire. So we're continuing west on the highway going up through Cimarron Canyon. You gotta think back before highways and before automobiles and everything, there was probably some wagon trail, you know, little ruts come up through here. Now, we were talking earlier about the Santa Fe Trail. The Santa Fe Trail did not come through here, okay? It went around the south end of the mountains and turned back north and come up to Santa Fe. But if you were, like we were talking earlier, you were one of the people having to go to court and have to drive all the way over to Taos, there was a trail coming through here, and this is your shortcut going over to Taos. But I'm sure it wasn't short in those days. On a wagon, you know, have a couple horses pulling a wagon, or just riding your horse up through there. You know, 50 miles, take a few days to get there. But I just love it driving through, and the sunshine shining on the windshield, and back and forth, you know, dark. And somebody asked me about the reflection in the window, and I'm trying to do what I can. It's just this windshield is, you know, raked back at a 45-degree angle, and it's really hard to get rid of that reflection in the window, you know, of the dash and whatnot. I've been told I can take a black towel, you know, get a blank bath towel, a black bath towel, and lay it across there. It might help. So I might look into doing that. But it's just so pretty, and we've already went past all the area where we had all the forest fire. And if you look, we're pretty much past it all here. There's a little campground, or not a campground, a day use area right there. You pull in there and you use restrooms and park your car to go on nature hikes and stuff like that. And it's peaceful too. You know, there was areas back here was 35 mile an hour. I think this area right here, if I remember, I was somewhere around 45 or 50 mile an hour speed limit. But I had to slow down going around these curves so things don't fall off the shelf and everything. So I'm taking it nice and easy. But there's nobody behind me, you know. And if there's a car or two get behind me, I usually pull over and let them by whenever I chance. You know, it used to irritate me so much driving a truck going down the highway. Somebody in a slow car, camper, whatever, and they just sit there and wouldn't bother. You know, here's a wide spot, they could pull over and let people by, and they don't. You know, and it always used to irritate me. So I try to keep that in mind. And whenever somebody gets behind me, I try to find a place to pull over. I think the only thing better would be on a motorcycle riding up through here. I'm taking a motorcycle ride up on these curly roads like this. Never got to really go through a whole lot of roads like this in the truck, and as you notice, there's not a whole lot of truck traffic on a highway like this. So 36 years of driving, never really got to, I mean, I got to see places like this to some extent, but as you notice, there's just no semi-traffic hardly at all. So there's just not a whole lot of reason to drive back in places like this when you're, you know, in a rig. You know, unless you're delivering somewhere up here, which is pretty rare because there's not a lot of people living up in this area. The big wide spot on the right. Pull in there and go hiking. There's another day use area right there. Park, walk over the river and go fishing. That's something I'm going to do. I've recently bought some fishing rods, you know, some lures and stuff like that. I've got a regular spinner casting rod, and then I've also got a fly fishing rod. I've never fly fished before. I just recently bought one of those, and I'm not going to do any fishing this year because it's too late in the season to bother with the TAT licensing and all that. But I'm getting things kind of gathered up for next year, and then next year I plan on coming up here and doing some fishing. And since I'll be here, you know, pick a state, you know, because the licensing costs so stinking much. I don't want to buy licenses in a whole bunch of different states. So next year I'll decide what state I'm going to probably spend the most time in, and I'll buy a license in that state. And it's likely going to be Colorado, but I don't know. I'll go up on some of these little lakes and streams and try to do a little trout fishing maybe. Getting close here. Here's that sign that has the curly Q all the way around. We're going to come up here and make a hard switchback. And this isn't very steep. It's not a real high intensity grade. Isn't that a pretty Prevost up ahead? I think somebody used to have one of them. All right. Well, this is the last switchback. We're going to go up this next little straight here, and then we'll be at the top of the pass. This is Eagle's Nest Pass. I'm going to guess it's somewhere around 700 or 7,500 feet, I think, something like that. I'm going to pull up here. There's a wide spot. We're going to pull off on the right. We're going to get out and walk around and look at the view, and hopefully when I get up here, oh, there's a semi. What do you know? One of the first semis I've seen it all day. But we're gonna get up here and park, and this little information board tells you about the lake and how this lake, before they put this lake in, when it rained or snowed, or when the spring melt and everything, all that water would run back down through Cimarron Lake or Cimarron River, and would flood out Cimarron areas down in that area. It flood some of the towns down there, and whatever year it was, back in the early 1900s, they put a dam in over here. So a private individual, wasn't a county or state or anything like that. It was just a private individual. He put the dam in, and it's kind of hard to get to. I've never figured out a way to get to it. I think you can go over to a campsite, a private paid campsite, and I think there's trails and stuff that go up to that dam. They'd be off to your left of the screen here, but over the hill, on the other side of that hill. But I'd like to go check that dam out, but it's kind of like I said, it's just hard to get to. It's all private land around it and everything. So anyway, right here by this berm, I parked here one night, and I had no place else to go, and the place I'd planned on parking wasn't available. So I come up here and looked on it. Man, that looks pretty. So if I get away with one night, I'm not really supposed to park there, I don't think. But I stayed there one night and got up the next morning and left. But how you like that view? I sat here and edited videos one afternoon. I edited about 3 videos looking out at that view. And it's so pretty. And the weather was so nice. It was hot down back home in Texas, and it was like 70 degrees up here. Got down to about 45, 50 degrees at night. Man, it's just good sleeping weather. So nice. So I'll go over and get back in the van, and we're going to go down through town and show you the town of Eagle's Nest. Eagle's Nest, like I said, it's a pretty small town. There's not much to it. Actually, the state park is almost about, the campsite part of the state park is about, it seems like it's almost as big. But actually, if you look straight ahead, you can see some buildings on the other side of the water. That's the state park, okay? And we're going to drive all the way around over to that. And I guess it's supposed to be, I think it's rainbow trout. It's supposed to be like, world-class rainbow trout. Really, really good fishing in this lake, from what I gathered. So that's the idea. Maybe next year, maybe come up here and go fishing. And now we're going down this. It's not the steepest road I've ever been on to, but it's got a pretty good angle to it. It's got a pretty good grade. So I'm riding the brakes a little bit going down through here. And right off the left here, there's a driveway. Man, there you go. I'd turn in there and I'll go back up. It's private drive, no trespassing. Oh, doggone the luck. And there's no road over there going back in that way at all. So to go down to the water and go left down the shore, there's no way to get back up in there. And that's where the dam is back in that general area. RV park, just past the RV park. Not sure exactly where the city limits is. There's a sign up ahead here. But we're starting to get into town here. Like I said, it's not real big. There's not a whole lot of housing and everything. It's a beautiful valley though. I mean, I hope you're getting it off this camera. It's just, the cameras never do as good as your own eyes. It's just, but it's just a beautiful open valley, beautiful meadows and stuff, and perfect little place, back in the day, back during the the early 1800s. And you come out here and find this valley and start building you a cabin and start running you a little ranch or something, you know. And it's beautiful, beautiful area. This whole valley. Now this valley, eventually after we leave town here, we'll be heading north, and you'll see the valley just keeps getting prettier and prettier the closer we get up to Red River. Yeah, we're definitely into the town part here, and like I said, this is about it. There's, you know, a couple little hotels, and I think that gas station there, I can't remember, seems like it was closed, but there's another gas station up here at the intersection. But a couple bars, little restaurants, little gift shops, you know. I can only imagine this is what Aspen used to be like some, you know, way back when, you know, just a few little gift shops. And Aspen, you know, got so popular and it just got huge. You know, it's a big town now, you know. But you know, all these little shops and, you know, the little boutiques, and, you know, a lot of window shopping here going on around this town. There's a saloon, restaurant. There's a little, that's a hotel right there on the left. Big parking lot, and then the hotel's on the back side of that parking lot. One time I come through here a few months ago, and there was probably 1,000 motorcycles in this town. You know, bikers, they'd come in for, I don't know, not a rally, just, you know, kind of on a ride or something. But man, there was a lot of bikes here that day. And as far as I know, I might be wrong on this, but as far as I know, on the right, that's the only gas station that's open in town. That's about it. That's about the only grocery store too that I know of. There might be one that I'm, you know, back off the main street here, but it looked to me like it was a gas station with a large convenience store. You know, you can buy all kinds of different stuff there, but it wasn't a full out grocery store, you know. And I can imagine pretty expensive stuff in there. Anyway, back here at that, just for future reference, back here at that gas station, there's that road, turn right. That's where we're going to go. We're going to go out here and check the state park out, and then we're going to head north on that road. So you won't get confused and lost. Direction-wise, we're heading west and starting to turn to the southwest here. When you're up on the higher, you know, edges, looking down on this valley, it's just so pretty. And then also, you know, this is a camera, you know, looking forward. You know, when you're driving, your eyes, you got such a wider field of view, you know, your peripheral vision and everything, and it's so much nicer, really. But from what I've seen of the town, I don't know anything about the hotels or anything. But if you ever get a chance coming out here on vacation or something and have a chance to just, you know, swing through here for maybe a day, half a day or something like that, I think it'd be a nice town to go to. So we're getting toward, we're heading south here. And that valley, you just keep going down that valley down there, and eventually you come out in Taos. So if you can imagine, remember we left earlier, you know, 30 minutes ago, we left Cimarron. And we're not even halfway to Taos yet. You know, let's say you were on a horse at horse walking speed. How long would it take to get to Taos? It'd take a day or two. It'd take a while. So this road here goes down to the state park, and I was reading somewhere, I don't remember where, but they've got a visitor center down here. Well, apparently they don't have enough manpower. The park service, the state park service, doesn't have enough manpower, because the last time I was down here a couple months ago, I drove down through here and I stopped and talked to the rangers real quick, or the state rangers. Anyway, I stopped and asked them real quick, you know, about coming in and doing whatever, and I said the building up there was closed, and he goes, yeah, it's always been, you know, it's always closed. And I said, well, You know, why is that? We don't have enough manpower. Well, I just found, you know, then later on I read that they had just built this thing. They had just built this thing right before the COVID stuff, you know, back, I don't know, 17 or 18, something like that. And they're not getting any use out of it because, you know, they either can't afford to hire people or nobody wants to work or something, you know. So the Rangers, they just stay in their pickup and they just drive around and do it that way. And nobody mans the big building, so they got it closed down. You can't go in. I thought that was kind of odd, you know. But anyway, right here on the right here past this little tree, there's a sign. That's where you pull in and you pay to park. And that's one of the things I asked the ranger. I says, I'm just coming in to look around. I don't plan on doing anything. And he says, yeah, you don't have to pay unless you get out of your car. You get out of your car and go do something like go fishing or camping or picnic or whatever. Then you got to pay. And I don't remember, it was $5 or $10 a day or something like that. And that's just to get in. That doesn't count the campsite. Campsites, you got to go online and register, or not register, but you know, get an appointment or whatever. And that just, to me, that would take all the fun out of camping. Have to go online and schedule everywhere you're going to go, and I'd like to be able to just pack up whenever I darn well please and go somewhere, you know, and not worry about whether I can park here tonight or something. You know, that's why I like the free camping stuff. Dispersed camping, I like that a lot better than these campgrounds. And what I thought was kind of weird, this is state property and that house is on private property. So I mean, it's just they just took the state park took the best land that was right up against the water, and nobody can live there. You can't have a house right on the water's edge. You know, you gotta be pushed way back. So, but isn't it just a beautiful valley? Just beautiful, beautiful water. And not a lot of boaters. There's a few boats out there, but I mean, not a lot. And they're all fishing boats. From what I can tell, every one of them was a fishing boat. I didn't see any, you know, ski boats or anything like that. So. I don't know. There's just something about it. I just don't like the idea of paying to park someplace like this when there's so many other places much prettier, much nicer. And this is dry camping. There's no electricity, no water. Now they got a dump station and water, but not at the sites. You know, you can't. There's no hookups. You know, and I don't know. I guess if you're wanting to come here and just go fishing for the weekend or something, get you a camp spot. But it's just not my thing. Like that campsite right there, and you'll see this little sign, that little post right there. You can't read it, but you know, as I drive by, you can see it says reservations only. You know, must be reserved online. Now see that fifth wheel straight ahead of us, starting to move. I'll tell you a little bit. I got up there, I cut the camera off so you don't really see it, but as I get up there close behind him, he actually stops and gets out and walks back to me. He stops and gets back, walks back to me and asks me, he says, well, are you just now getting here? I'm like, yeah. He said, well, we're leaving 2 days early. We got 2 days left on that camp spot if you want it. He had a piece of paper in his hand. And I'm like, well, thank you, but no thanks. I'm heading north into Colorado, so. He says, okay. So, I mean, it's just nice people. You know, he wasn't going to use it, and he'd already paid for it. And he goes, well, might as well have somebody use it. He had, I didn't get into details or anything, but he said he had emergency back home, and he had to head home early. Now, that's the way you do it right there. A little SUV and a U-Haul. All right, we're back to that gas station. We're heading north. We're heading north up through this valley. And like I said, this valley just keeps getting prettier and prettier as, you know, farther north you go. And it kind of closes in. It's not quite as open. It's more, a little bit more, you know, from peak to peak is a little bit closer, you know. And it just gets real pretty up there. And with your eyes, you can see up in the hills and everything. You see some really nice homes, not mansions or anything, but just nice looking places. I'd say the only negative thing I'd have for living here, well, for one, winter would be pretty rough, I think. You get quite a bit of snow, I'm sure. But just if you need something, it's quite a drive to town to, you know, just a grocery store or something. You can go into town there to get a convenience store, but that's all going to be expensive food. Go back up, if you head north up to where we're heading, up the Red River, that's a resort town, a ski town, and everything's pretty much expensive there. Probably the closest, well, let's say Walmart type place, or, you know, large grocery store would probably be back down in Taos, you know, or Santa Fe. Taos at least have a grocery store. I don't know if they have a Walmart or nothing, but you get the idea. It's a good little drive just to go to the grocery store, you know, and that'd be the only negative. But then again, on the other hand, that's a positive. You know, you're out there, not a whole lot of traffic, none of the big city headaches and, you know, dangers or whatever you got to go through living in a big city. So I think it'd be really nice. It'd be really nice living out here. But I kind of wonder, you know, it's kind of one of those be careful what you ask for kind of thing. Man, it's so beautiful to live out in the middle of nowhere like this, and then you realize something happened. You know, your toilet bowl, the stopper starts leaking, and you can't get it to quit. Well, the closest Home Depot is like 3-hour drive. You know, so you know we're, you know, the convenience is what I'm getting at. Sometimes it might not be. It might be beautiful and quiet and nice, but then again, there's negatives too. There is something to be said about living in a larger town, you know, Dallas, of course, but just any other, you know, larger city that has all the big box stores and, you know, all the shopping that you could ever want. You don't have to go very far, you know. So living out here, you know, you just kind of have to plan a little bit better. Buy groceries once a month. Go to town and buy a lot of groceries once a month, you know. So. As I said, see the valley starting to kind of close up a little bit. It's not quite as open and wide. There's some kind of a ranch on the left-hand side down there. And I think this is about the area where it's called Elizabethtown. And remember the preacher, the Methodist preacher that got killed down there by the fellow at, what was his name? Anyway, he had come up here to do some churching, you know, and then turned around and was heading home. But that's how a minister, that's how far they had to travel back in the day. They probably go, you know, this town once a week, that town, you know, the next week, and the next town the next week. Probably hit 4 or 5 towns. That's probably how they had to do it back then. So there was mining up here. And it's not huge mining. It's not, you know, like some of the Colorado towns are just really, really big into mining, like Silverton, Colorado, or something like that. But there was mines up here, and I believe they were gold mines, but I don't think they lasted very long. It was a small run. It just keeps getting prettier, prettier, prettier. I spell that purdy. Purtier. They have a little grove of trees down there. Just gorgeous. Love it. Just love it. And there's no camping around here at all. You know, that free camping that I like to do, state parks and all this is all private land here from what I gather. So there's no place to pull over and go camping or anything like that. There's wide spots you can pull over, take a picture or something, but that's about it. And but it is a pretty drive. Now, where I'm heading up eventually. I'm Red River, but eventually I'm heading up into Colorado. And I could have took the interstate all the way up to Colorado Springs or something, or Canyon City, Colorado, and then come in. This is so much prettier drive. I'm trying with these longer videos like this. It's like where are we at? A little over an hour now, hour and 15 minutes. The reason I'm doing these longer videos is the long format stuff that YouTube apparently is wanting. So I'm going to try to do some long format videos and see what happens. But also the idea is back roads. Get off the stinking freeway. This is all back roads, 2-lane stuff back into the country part of the town, or country part of the country part of the country, but the rural part of the country. And I've seen so much stuff. There's stuff to see on the interstate, don't get me wrong, there is stuff, but I've seen it so many times. I've been up every interstate 100 times, and I've done a lot of 2-lane too, but there's so much more 2-lane to do. And that's kind of my goal, is go out and check a lot of this rural areas. It's, beautiful back roads, and see what's back here. Like I said, before I did this video, I come through this area about 2 months ago, and I was up in Colorado for about 2 months, and then had to run back to Dallas for about a week to take care of some stuff. Mainly my CDL, my CDL driver's license. I had to go get a CDL DOT physical. I have to do it every 2 years. And it was coming time, so I need to run home and do that. So I went home, took care of that, and took care of other things around town and everything. Visited Pam and all this, and she's still dealing with her mom and her mother selling her house and everything. So she's still dealing with that. So I guess that'll probably take up the rest of the summer for her. But anyway, so I decided I'm heading right back up to Colorado. So I kind of took the same route back up through here, and so the first time, like I said, the first time I came through Cimarron, it was just a little town. I just drove through it and like, well, it's about half dead town. There's not a whole lot going on here, until I stopped. I didn't stop in it before. I just drove right through it. I stopped and I got out and started looking around, and I'm like, whoa, look at all this history that's here. I had no idea. And the thing about Cimarron, it's not a very big town, and all those information boards and all that stuff, that costs money to put up and everything. And like for instance, the jail, the jail says old jail on that car hood. I find that humorous, but then also it's because they've got a very limited amount of money to spend. Beautiful ranches on both sides here, or same ranch, one of the two. A really nice place on the right there, and I assume they probably own the buildings on the left. But I just the town didn't look like they had a lot of money to spend on a lot of that type of stuff. Somewhere I read, while I was doing all the research for this stuff, somewhere I read that they got a little bit of a partnership with the Santa Fe Trail Historical Association or something like that, and that's why they put a lot of those message boards up. And I would assume other places along the Santa Fe Trail, they would have towns that they have that type of stuff too. But there's some of these towns you go to, and it's just they've really done a great job. They spent a ton of money on their historical stuff so that you can spend time there, spend your tourism dollar and everything. And Cimarron there's history there, but it didn't seem like they were doing a really, really good job of, or actually they did a good job. I learned a lot there. Okay, that's not my point. The thing is, they didn't do a very good job of prettying it up. Okay, the town doesn't look like, like some of these historical towns. It looks like a town that's had its heyday and it's kind of dwindling now. There's not a whole lot going on there, you know. So, but anyway, it was a nice town. I didn't stop and talk to anybody while I was there. I just, you know, drove through town and read those boards and everything, and then I did the rest of my, you know, stuff was all online, you know, learning about stuff so I could make this video. But yeah, like I said, the idea of this long series, you know, long form videos like this is I want to get back roads. The channel has really slowed down, and I'm trying to figure out a way to revive it, because, you know, I got 116,000 subscribers and I have a hard time getting 2,000 views on a video. So I'm scratching my head, what have I done wrong? And I got to talking to a friend of mine, and I'll maybe talk about that later. But he was telling me what he was thinking and what he's doing, and I thought, well, maybe I ought to try that too. So I'm going to try the same kind of approach that he's done. He's doing very well. I might as well just tell you, it's Russ with RVer TV. He's got RVerTV.com. He's got RVer TV on YouTube. He's got a lot of stuff going. He's a real go-getter when it comes to this YouTube stuff, and he's doing quite well on his channel. And I asked him, well, what are you doing? And he told me. So I went and watched some of his videos that I haven't watched him for quite a while, and went back and, man, he's getting a lot of views, and everything was working really good, and, you know, he's real happy with how things were going. And so I thought, well, maybe I ought to get on the bandwagon and try some of these long form videos. So if you're wondering why this video is so long, that's, you know, for one, you're sitting somewhere in Columbus, Ohio, and you don't get to see anything like this unless you go on a really long vacation, and you only got 1 week, and you got to hurry up and run and hurry up, run back home to town to go back to work. Here you can sit here and watch this video and listen to me ramble a little bit here, but look at the beautiful scenery. You know, it's just beautiful driving up through here. And I think we're getting fairly close to the top of the pass here. Won't be too much longer. We'll be getting up here at the top of the pass, and then from there it's downhill down into Red River. Now, Red River, it was a mining town. That's how it originally got started, but the gold all ran out, or whatever they were mining for ran out. But the area is just so pretty, and there's some really nice mountains. So they put a ski lodge. They got a big old ski lodge up there, Red River Ski Lodge, or ski area, and that's what it's all about now: skiing and tourism. During the winter, it's all skiing, and during the summer, it's, you know, they use the ski runs, but they use those like alpine slides and that kind of stuff. A lot of nice restaurants, lots and lots of window shopping, so to say, you know. And the thing I liked about it, there's things I did like about it and I didn't like about it. What I do like about Red River is it's not so stinking big. It's not corporatized, okay? It doesn't have that, you know, snooty feel. You go to places like Aspen, Colorado, or Casper, Wyoming, the people that now live there have this, you know, I guess they're I don't know, maybe very, very wealthy or something, but they have this snooty attitude, and they just, I don't know, I just don't care for them that much. But Red River doesn't have that snooty attitude, at least not that I saw. And I got out and walked around town a little bit, and now we're past the Cimarron River. The Cimarron River starts at the lake back there, the Eagles Nest Lake. So where we're coming up through here now, off to the left, when we start going downhill again, we're still going uphill here, but when we start going downhill, we're going to be picking up the Red River, okay? And that Red River flows all the way down through town, through Red River, New Mexico, and it eventually comes out down in the open valley where the Rio Grande is, and it flows into the Rio Grande, okay? And they're about the same size rivers, both of them. And but in town, apparently, the Red River is well known for being very good for fishing. So this town has a lot of condos and stuff like that, but it's not like some of the really, really big ski resorts, like I said, Aspen or someplace, you know. It just seems a little it's nice, but it's not overly developed. Is that the way I'm trying to say it? Overly developed. Okay, there's the pass right there. We're gonna start going downhill here. We're almost there, folks. We're almost there. I just said, it's just what I like about this. You know, there was a pickup coming up behind me. He'd been behind me for about a mile, so that's why I'm pulling over and letting him by. Like I said, somebody comes up behind me, I'll pull over and let them by. What I like about this area, I mean, look, you've got trees. You've got trees everywhere, but it's not a blanket of trees. There's so much where you can't see anything. You go to some of these places, the trees are so thick you can't see anything past that guardrail, you know. And here, there's open areas, there's trees, but then there's open areas too, and it gives you the balance of both, so you can actually see the mountain over there and vistas. You're not just seeing a wall of trees or a hallway of trees. You know? Now, there's quite a few town houses right down through this here. Some of them seem like they were built right on top of each other. Let me see if I can spot this one on the left. See the A-frame looking one off to the left? Yeah, right past that pickup. If I remember right, that house, and then right below it there's a house. I can't see it in this video, but I noticed that kind of stuff when I was driving down through there, and I thought, my God, you open a window and throw a pot of water out the window, you're gonna hit your neighbor. So yeah, I was right on top of it. It's just the way they buy the land there, because I would imagine you don't go too far off of this road and it turns into national forest, and they can't buy property there. Like this right here, maybe this is all national forest on the left, and you can't buy property in this area. So I don't know, but wherever they do have a spot to put a house, it seems like they stuck one in there. And there's a rental. There's a rental. One of them slingshot things. They rent those down here in town. They rent Jeeps and side-by-sides and them slingshots, and you can go out riding around in the riding around on the trails and stuff. And I think there's quite a few trails in this area. It seemed like there's quite a few side-by-sides and stuff like that running around town. Here's where you just want to kick it out of gear and see how fast you can go by the time you get to the bottom. Whee! Look at me now. Right down in that bottom of that valley down there, that's where the town is. So we're getting really, really close, folks. Really close. So before I get into town, like I was talking about the videos and everything, it's the long format style video. What happened was YouTube always was like a 10-minute. They always tried, you know, a 10 or 12, 15-minute video. That's what everybody wants to watch. And about 3 or 4 years ago, they noticed TikTok was going away with all these little snippet videos, these little 15, 20-second videos on TikTok all the time. So YouTube kind of thought, well, let's try that, and they started doing the shorts. Well, they did the 2-minute shorts, and they've decided they don't like that anymore. They're still, you can still put them on there, but they realized the demographics of YouTube are changing, or the people that watch YouTube are changing. And like I can go on my channel and get on what they call YouTube Studio, and it shows my channel to, you know, it's stuff that I can see and, you know, change around about the channel and everything. And it'll show me in the analytics, like for instance in the analytics it'll tell you the device that they watched that you guys watched the video on. And I was pretty surprised. Most of the people on my channel watch on a cell phone. Okay, I don't watch hardly any videos on a cell phone. I watch stuff on either TV or a computer. and it's so much nicer, that big screen. So if you watch them on a cell phone, if you have a chance, go watch the same video on a big screen. It makes a huge difference. There's the town down there in the bottom, and this is pretty steep right down through here where we're going. So kind of having to ride the brakes a little bit. But anyway, YouTube has noticed on their analytics, not mine, but their analytics, that there are a lot more people watching YouTube on their TV. You know, they're tired of the network stuff. They're tired of putting up with CBS and NBC and, you know, all those channels like that. You know, they're tired of watching, you know, Dancing with the Stars and, you know, Bachelorette and all that crap. You know, they're just tired of that fake reality TV stuff. And what they do is the TVs have the smart TVs, you know, and they have the app for YouTube. So they'll turn the YouTube on and they'll watch YouTube videos on their TV for entertainment and forget about the regular network TV crap. So YouTube notices that and says, hey, let's see if we can capitalize on that. So they're encouraging YouTubers to do long form videos, hour long. So it's like a TV show. It's not just a 5 minutes, hey, I'm right here doing this, I'll see you later, bye. You know, it's more like a TV show, and I'm going to try it. I don't think this is, you know, I don't know how good a video this is or whatever, but you give it in the comments. Let me know what you think about it, if you'll watch it or everything. But the big thing is that YouTube sees that it's a long form video and sees people giving thumbs ups and all that kind of stuff and likes and all this. They'll notice that, and then they will, on their algorithm, they will promote those channels more. So that's kind of what happened with Russ. He started doing a lot of long-term videos, or long format videos, and his channel just kind of exploded. He's getting huge number of views, because it's not just my 116,000 subscribers that very few are watching. You know, only 2,000 or 3,000 people are watching these videos, but YouTube is suggesting to other people, and it's a new audience, and it grows the channel because of that. So he is, in the last year or so, he has really done well on his channel, and I thought, well, if Russ can do it, let's see if I can't, you know, do something similar to it. So as you see here in town, you know, like I said, on the comments, let me know what you think. You know, are you interested in these kind of videos? I know some people will say, well, I just can't spend an hour and a half watching a video. Well, watch 10 minutes of it, and then tomorrow watch another 20 minutes of it, and throughout the week, watch the whole video. You know, get the idea? So we'll see. We'll just see what happens. I'm going to try it and see if anything changes, and if it does, then great. If it doesn't, then, well, yeah, I gave it a shot. But as you can tell, here's the lodge on the left. This is Red River, and it's a nice little town. I mean, it's small enough you can park right there where that camper is, and you get out and you walk up and down both sides of the street and not overtax yourself. I mean, it's not like Disneyland or something, okay? You can get out and you can walk up and down the street, check out all these little restaurants and cafes and little curio shops, and, you know, do all that window shopping stuff and whatnot. And it's done well. I mean, it doesn't look overdone, but it doesn't look, you know, half-assed either. You know, it looks like it's done well. It's a nice town. This Lifts West condominium, it's almost like a little shopping center in there. I actually got out and walked up and down the streets there and looked in it. Yeah, it was the kind of, not the kind of stores that I want to go shopping in, but I mean, you know, you might. It's a neat little place now. It's a nice little town. So we get down here somewhere. I can't remember exactly where it is, but there's places you can, you know, rent the ATVs and the side-by-sides, or even bicycles, stuff like that, you know. We're gonna turn here. Well, we're gonna go all through town. We're gonna turn we're gonna go to the end of the town, turn around and come back a little bit, and then head south, which would be to the left of us here. We're gonna go south, go over to the ski lodge, and that'll be the ski lift area, and that'll be it. That'll be the end of the video. But so I don't know. I like the town, and well, I just about ran that stop sign. You didn't see that. Nobody saw it. I think I was looking off at something and I turned around. Oh shit! Stop sign. Sidesman right here. It's a place you can rent that kind of stuff, bicycles and side-by-sides and stuff like that. The slingshot, that three-wheeler thing, that was when you first come down the hill into town. They were on the right, on the north side of the road. That was where you can rent those. But you can buy. There's fishing tackle, fishing places. You can go in and buy fishing, gear and all that kind of stuff, because that's one of the things you do up here during the summers, go fishing. So you bring your man and woman come up here. He might want to go over fishing for the afternoon, and she can run into town and go shopping, up and down the streets there. So, but when I came in town, there was a, I don't know if you noticed, we're gonna turn around right here. There's a little bit more. There's condominiums on the left here, but as we came through town, there was a festival going on, and I got out after I finished this video. I got out and walked over and checked it all out, and it seemed like it would be pretty neat. It was a little music festival, and they had a bunch of barbecue, a whole bunch of barbecue places, almost like a competition going on. And I don't remember the name of the festival, but I thought, man, I'll go ahead and go in there and buy me a barbecue sandwich or something, And I went to walk in there, and they, oh no, you gotta pay a cover fee. I'm like, I just want to get a sandwich right here and leave, Now you got to pay a cover fee. It was $20 to go in there. Well, that's to cover the band, the different bands and everything. And I understand that, but I wasn't going to spend, $12 on a barbecue sandwich plus 20. That's $32 for a sandwich. Sorry. So, it's just little, stuff like that I'd like to go do, but I just can't justify the cost. Now, if I was going to sit there all day, no big deal. I just want to go and grab a sandwich and leave, So, oh well. We'll run back into town here. Like I said, that's RV parks, and then there's condos and all that kind of stuff. And we're just about on the outside. There wasn't much past where I stopped there. There was a couple RV campsites, and that was about it. And then it turns back into a canyon, kind of like what we came back up earlier in Cimarron Canyon. And that runs on down to, I forget the name of the town, but eventually out into the open desert-looking area, the lower elevation, and it's hot. It's not hot here. It was like 78 degrees when I was driving through here. But you go on down the hill into that open flat area, and you're up in the 90s and 100s pretty quick. And you're down by the Rio Grande River, and where Red River joins the Rio Grande. So, yeah, blue railing on the left, and it's bright. Where's that purple? Anyway, so, and off to the right, look up on the mountain. Up on the right, you can see the ski slope, the ski runs. Okay, couldn't really see that coming the other direction. But I would imagine in the winter, look at the shapes of the buildings and stuff. It has that kind of that European, Swiss, like Alpine feel to it, A lot of the buildings, not all of them, but a lot of them. And I can imagine in the winter when there's 2 feet of snow everywhere, and all the trees are covered with snow and everything. It has that, it has that ski lodge or ski town look, obviously, And I'm sure that's what they're going for. There's one of them slingshots again. So almost ran that stop sign too. It looks like I'm going past the stop sign. I'm stopping for the stop sign. It's just the way the camera looks. It looks like I'm way past the stop sign. I pull up right beside it, but it's just an optical illusion with the lens. There's a lift house, and it's some ski lodges I've been to. It's like a big parking lot, and there's the ski lodge, and that's it. And you have to drive back somewhere to go to your hotel. This town is so compact and everything. No matter where you're at in town, you can just get out of your hotel, condo, or whatever you're doing, and walk to the lift. And I'm sure they probably have shuttle buses and stuff like that running during the winter. But this looked like one of the main ski runs right through here. So we're going to go up in this parking lot, and that'll be the end of this video. So, like I said, I hope you like it, and make sure you leave your comments. I'd really like to hear what you guys got to say about this. You know, if you like it. And I'll try to figure out. You know, this is my first one of doing this style of video, so you know, cut me a little break. I can get better. But hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you enjoyed the first part of the video, the first 30 or 40 minutes when I was talking about all the history of Cimarron. I really hope you like that, because I put quite a bit of effort, a lot of research and stuff into that part of the video. So, but anyway, we will pull up here. There's a jungle gym kind of thing off on the left up there, on the other side over there. See it? And I'll pull the van over here and aim toward it. But it's one of those jungle gym things. They put a safety harness on you, and you get up there and you know, walk over these cables and all this stuff. And I don't know, it's not a jungle gym. I don't know what they call those. Not a zip line. I don't know what they call them. But anyway, they got that kind of stuff to do. They've got the alpine slides and all that kind of stuff to do here in town during the summer. So you ski in the winter, and during the summer you do all this other stuff. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. This is about the end of it, and we will see you next time. Y'all be good, and adios.